When you think about filmmakers who build entire worlds, from the terrifying corridors of a haunted spaceship to the rain-soaked streets of a dystopian future, one name just stands out, right? Ridley Scott. For decades, this man has been an absolute master of visual storytelling, shaping genres and basically defining what's possible on screen. But what exactly is the Ridley Scott style? What are the threads that connect his incredible and incredibly diverse body of work? Well, that's what we're here to deconstruct. What's so amazing about Scott is his just genre-bending mastery. Back in 1979, he unleashed Alien, and it wasn't just some creature feature, no. It was a masterclass in claustrophobic terror. He basically took the whole haunted house idea and just launched it into the cold, unforgiving vacuum of space. It was visceral, it was terrifying, and it absolutely changed horror forever. Then, just a few years later, he completely reshaped how we see the future with Blade Runner. This wasn't just sci-fi, it was this whole new thing, this science fiction noir, a rain-soaked, neon-drenched dystopia that has influenced, countless films ever since. But he's not just a sci-fi guy. In 1991, he directed Thelma and Louise, a groundbreaking road movie that became a total cultural touchdown. It sparked this fiery, nationwide conversation about feminism, freedom, and rebellion that honestly still echoes today. And of course, how could anyone forget Gladiator? Scott basically revitalized the historical epic for a whole new generation. He plunged us right into the brutal, awe-inspiring spectacle of ancient Rome. The scale, the intensity, it was just a cinematic force of nature. And then, much more recently, he went back to science fiction with The Martian, but with a completely different vibe. He worked super closely with NASA and created this film that was optimistic and funny and really grounded in hard science. It was a story about survival, not horror. So you've got terrifying horror, dystopian noir, a feminist road movie, hopeful sci-fi. On the surface, these films couldn't be more different. So what's the common thread here? What are those signature elements that just scream, this is a Ridley Scott film? That's the big question we're gonna answer. The first, and let's be real, most obvious answer is that Ridley Scott is, above everything else, an architect. He doesn't just film a story, he builds the entire world around it. He completely immerses us in these settings that feel so rich, so detailed, and so believable. This really gets to the heart of it. See, Scott started his career in art direction, and you can see that background in every single frame he shoots. His visual style is just unparalleled. He thinks like a painter, using color and light and composition to build the mood and push the story forward. And this just brilliantly illustrates his range. On the left, you got Alien. Scott's vision there was a haunted house in space, right? So it's dark, industrial, kind of utilitarian. Then on the right, Blade Runner's dystopian city is the total opposite. Just an explosion of neon signs and these massive skyscrapers that make the people below feel tiny, creating this sense of futuristic loneliness. Two sci-fi worlds, two completely different visual languages. But here's the thing, despite creating these totally fantastic worlds, Scott is obsessed with realism. In an age where everything is CGI, he's still a champion of practical effects. He wants you to feel the grit and the reality of his creations. This incredible model of the Nostromo from Alien, it isn't just a special effect. It's a piece of handcrafted art that gives that whole world a tangible, authentic weight. But these incredible worlds are way more than just empty spectacle. They're the backdrop for Scott's other great obsession, exploring the human condition. At their core, his epic films are always about people. Just take the crew of the Nostromo. They're not superheroes. They are, as people have called them, truckers in space. They complain about their pay, they talk about their contracts, their working conditions. It's this believable blue-collar vision of the future that makes the horror so much more effective. Because you feel like these are real people you could actually know. And right at the center of that crew is Ellen Ripley. Scott has this long history of creating strong, complex female characters, and Ripley, well, she is the gold standard. As the film scholar Yvonne Tasker points out, she just completely transgressed gender norms to become one of cinema's most celebrated heroes, period, proving that a protagonist's strength has absolutely nothing to do with their gender. So when you look at his work, his films are constantly grappling with these deep questions. Blade Runner asks, what does it mean to be human in a world where artificial beings can feel?
Then, decades later, The Martian asks a different but just as profound question about our potential. What can we achieve when we work together through science? The spectacle always serves a deeper, human theme.
But focusing so much on a single director's vision brings us to a really interesting complication. We love to talk about directors as auteurs, these lone geniuses who are the sole authors of their films. But Scott's career actually shows us that filmmaking is way, way more collaborative than that. It's a question that's definitely worth asking. Auteur theory loves to say the director is the main force. But let's face it, filmmaking is a team sport. And Scott's films are the perfect case study for taking a closer look at that whole idea. I mean, just look at the team behind Alien. You have Dan O'Bannon, who wrote the terrifying script, H.R. Geiger, whose biomechanical designs gave us the nightmare fuel that is the xenomorph. Jerry Goldsmith's incredible score created the dread. Terry Rawlings' editing built all that tension. And of course, Sigourney Weaver's performance brought Ripley to life. Scott's genius is in his vision, for sure, but it's also in his ability to bring all these incredible talents together. And because he's had such a long and varied career, his own storytelling has evolved, and that sparked some pretty intense debates among fans and critics. And nowhere is that more obvious than within his most famous franchise. This slide really highlights a huge thematic shift in the Alien universe. The original film is pure evolutionary horror. The xenomorph is a perfect organism, a terrifying product of natural selection. But then you get to the prequels like Prometheus, and Scott pivots to a creationist story, suggesting that both humanity and the aliens were designed by these godlike engineers. It's a fascinating and, pretty controversial retcon that totally reframes the franchise's whole mythology. So when you boil it all down, the Ridley Scott style can pretty much be broken down into 3 key things. Step 1, build a breathtaking world. Step 2, fill it with real, relatable people who are grappling with big ideas. And Step 3, ground all of it in a believable, tactile reality. And maybe no single line in any of his movies captures his ultimate focus better than this one. The dying words of the replicant Roy Batty. I mean, in the middle of all the neon and the action and the futuristic spectacle, the emotional heart of Blade Runner is this heartbreakingly human moment about memory and legacy and mortality. So that leaves us with one last question. After all these worlds and all these stories, who is Ridley Scott? Is he simply a master visual spectacle, one of the greatest craftsmen the movies have ever known? Or is he actually a philosopher who just uses that spectacle to ask what it really means to be human? Well, the answer is pretty clear. He's both. And that, right there, is what makes him a legend.